Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Today, we are going to start a new concept, but first, I want us to practice the distance formula from a couple of weeks ago. So, I've provided you the formula, and I want you to use it to find the distance for AB for both of these examples. So, our next transformation we're going to talk about is a rotation. Okay, rotating a figure. We're going to figure out the rotations, we're going to use rules, and we're going to find images given a pre-image and using those rules. I would highly suggest writing this down. This is going to be super helpful to you as you are doing your assignments, but also proficiencies. And then as we're building on transformations, you're going to want to have this in your notes. Okay, you will notice that there is clockwise and counterclockwise listed in here. So if you're unsure which is which, counterclockwise goes opposite of a clock. Notice the arrows. Clockwise goes the same as a clock. Okay, so counterclockwise goes opposite, clockwise is the same as a clock would go. So again, make sure you have these written down and you notice the difference between them. Okay, notice it says 90 degrees clockwise versus 90 degrees counterclockwise. That is super important to add to your notes. I've provided for you guys a couple of links in the slideshow if you want to get in and do a little bit of playing around with what it looks like. Okay, so you can follow these links in the slideshow and do a little bit of practice on your own if you would like to. So we are going to start identifying rotations. And before we do that, I just kind of want to go over what the coordinate plane looks like. Okay, so this kind of goes back to the beginning of coordinate planes and having quadrants, again, your counterclockwise or your clockwise movement. Okay, and notice that there are 4 quadrants on here, and we're going to be focused on those kind of movements. So each quadrant is a 90-degree quadrant. So it would be 180 here and 270 here, and then obviously back to 0. If you're going counterclockwise, if you're going clockwise, then this would be your 90 degrees. 180 stays the same. This would be your 270 and then 0. So it's important to understand those because the number of quadrants you move are going to tell you which formula you need to use. Okay. So if we go back to this example, it's saying, how did we rotate from this black figure to this red figure? Okay, so the first thing we have to determine is counterclockwise or clockwise. So which do you think we are doing? Are we moving counterclockwise or are we moving clockwise? So hopefully you said that we are moving clockwise, right? We're moving this direction. That direction is the way that the clock works. Okay, and then to determine the degree, you're going to count the number of quadrants that you moved. So in this case, you moved 1 quadrant. A quadrant is 90 degrees. So this movement would be called a 90-degree clockwise movement. Okay, 90-degree clockwise movement. Let's look at this one. Again, the first thing we have to determine is counterclockwise or clockwise. We're moving from the black figure to the red figure. Are we moving in a clockwise or a counterclockwise direction? So hopefully on this one, you said counterclockwise. We're going this direction, right? This way. So now again, how many quadrants did we move? Well, we moved 1 quadrant. So this one is a 90-degree counterclockwise movement. What about this one? Again, clockwise or counterclockwise movement is what we're looking for first, and then we count our quadrants. So in this one, you'll notice that it is 2 quadrants away, which is 180 degrees. Okay, 90 times 2, right? 90 for each of our movements. And you'll also notice that it does not matter if we went clockwise or counterclockwise to get here. So if you refer back to our formula sheet, notice it says that 180 degrees is the same for both clockwise or counterclockwise, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. You can call it either way. You just know that it's 180 degree movement, rotation, okay? So this would be 180 degrees clockwise or 180 degrees counterclockwise, and both would be correct answers. Okay, so now we're going to talk about rules. So in order to find out rules, we need to know what our movement is. Okay, so again, remember your original pre-image is the one that is just listed as a number. Your image has these marks right here, and those are called primes. So this is the image to the pre-image. Okay, so you should notice that this movement is 180 degrees. It moved 2 quadrants. And again, it doesn't matter if we did 2 quadrants based on clockwise or based on counterclockwise. Okay, so what does that mean we're going to do? So I'm going to pull up my other screen here. 180 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise, you notice, says that we take our x, y, and turn it into negative x, negative y. So that would be the rule for this rotation right here. Okay? So that's how we would use our formula sheet. So what is the rule for this? So again, we have to figure out how did we get from our pre-image to our image? Which direction did we go? Is it clockwise or counterclockwise? And how many degrees did we go? So hopefully in this one, you've recognized that here's our original, we're over here. We are moving in a counterclockwise direction, and we are moving 1 quadrant. So 1 quadrant is 90 degrees counterclockwise. So if we look at our formula sheet, 90 degrees counterclockwise is right here. And it tells us that we are taking our XY and we are turning it into negative y x. So that would be the rule for this graph. Okay? So that's how we identify the rule. So we started by identifying the rotation. Now we have identified the rule. And now we're going to actually use the rule to be able to find points. Okay? To be able to find points. So in order to do that, we are going to figure out what rule we're going to use. Okay? 180 degree rotation. What does that give us? Well, if we look at our formula sheet, we know that that gives us this rule right here. All of our XY points turn into a negative X, negative Y. So if we're going to go through and do this, that means that we are taking every one of these points and changing the sign in front of it. We're doing the opposite. So E, instead of being negative 8, is now going to be the opposite of that, which is 8, 8. And F, instead of being negative 6, negative 10, is now going to be 6, 10. G, instead of being negative 2, negative 8, is going to be just 2, 8. And H, instead of being negative 6 and negative 6, is going to be 6 and 6. So now we have our image from our pre-image for 180 degree rotation. So I'm going to have you guys try this next one. Okay, what are the points for this rotation? You are going to use your formula sheet, the formulas, okay? So if you need to go back and look at the formulas, you are doing a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation and you are coming up with what your points are going to be. So the first thing you need to figure out is what is your rule, and then you're going to apply your rule. So for practice, we're going to go to a quizzes. There is just a few questions in it. Again, remember 70% in order for it to count for a grade. Okay, you can do it more than one time. Remember, take your time, use your rules, make sure you're paying attention to clockwork versus counterclockwork. Okay, or clockwise versus counterclockwise, excuse me. Okay, and feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions and need help with anything. Really fast before I turn you loose, I am going to show you what those links do if you want to go to one of them. Okay, if you click on those links in the slideshow, it will take you here, and it does show you what those movements look like, but it also shows you how rules are applied. So the blue is always going to be the pre-image, and then the red changes as you go 90 degrees counterclockwise, as you go 180 degrees counterclockwise, and it changes the points. So if you are a visual person, this might be something you want to play around with just so that you can see it. Okay, hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you soon.